Hey guys, what's going on? It is Andy Elliott. I'm here with my beautiful wife, Jacqueline Elliott, and we're here today with the owners, the founders, the partners in I Am Camp. And I want you to understand this. The reason why this is probably the most important podcast I've ever dropped is because what's more important than our children? Like nothing. And we know these great people, and they have a company called I Am Camp, and it's for kids between 11 and 18 years old. And just like us, what are we doing? What do we do every day on this channel? We self-develop. We plug into new information. We train ourselves. We build new identities, and we see what's possible, right? In a world right now where everybody's like, oh, you can't do that, right? I wouldn't do that if I was you. Conforming, people fitting in. Man, our children, that generation is everything. And I Am Camp is helping kids self-develop, just like adults do. Pretty cool, right? So I'm not going to talk too much. I want to hand it over to them because I want them to talk about like who's this for, why they started it, what's going on now, what you teach the kids, and most importantly, like it's a calling. Okay, I said this to someone the other day. I was like, there's disciplines in life that like has helped us get to where we want to get in life and build our business, but nothing's more important than the calling. And these people have a calling to help kids. And I know right now, a lot of you watching this, you're like, my kids are on electronics all the time. They're traditional school learning, which there's nothing wrong with learning school. But that stuff isn't going to make them stand out, be different, make relationships others can't. It can't teach them to communicate. It doesn't teach them how to, just build this awesome life. It's a very special time to be alive. But you got to have this development. I think it starts with the children. And so, well, I know it does. So why don't you guys kick off together? Number one, tell everybody who you are. Let everybody know a little bit about I Am Camp. And you guys been married 13 years, right?
Yep,
Yes.
13 years.
Yeah, let it rip. And by the way, Army veteran, right?
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thank you for serving. And they're just great people. They got two beautiful kids. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, two beautiful kids.
11.
They're right here with them. Yep. And I love seeing people that want to help children. Nothing, if you treat me bad, okay, I got it. But you treat my kids bad, I got a problem. Okay, you love me, cool, but you got to love my kids. My kids are everything. And self-development in children is the number one thing that should be most important to us and to you. And so they have the pathway. So why don't you guys share it a little bit about what you guys are doing and how people can have their children involved in it and stuff like that, and why you guys built I Am Camp.
Yeah. So this all started with personal development. It started in a personal development journey. We met so Julie Little Kanoy, she started it. She had this vision and she started on a notebook and wrote it and just created this out of nothing. Then we joined her and we're just helping her build it. That's all we're doing.
And so it's you guys. And she lives in St. Louis with you guys.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Her name's Julie Kanoy. And
how long ago did she start it?
This is 5 years.
Yeah, year 5.
5 years ago. And then you guys got involved about a year ago?
No, we've been involved.
Yeah, the whole time.
Oh, you've been involved for 5 years.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
All right,
So,
keep rocking. So Julie had the vision. She wrote it down on a napkin.
Yeah.
We're going to go do this thing. And then you guys all have come together to build this thing.
Yeah, it's created magic. That's what she created. So yeah, it's I Am Camp. It's the greatest thing ever. We got our daughter started in personal development, right? So we got our daughter in there early. We got to witness it. The first year we didn't get to go. We just got to hear about the magic. Like we got to hear about all the fun things.
Because your daughter went.
No, she didn't get to go. We didn't get to go the first year.
Julie was telling you. Okay.
Yeah, Julie and all the kids told us it was great. So then the next year we got to go and got to witness it, and then we just got this itch. You got this burn to like, it's the best high. You can't
It's a hero making machine. These camps.
Like whenever you start it, it's 4 or 5 months of processing and planning and getting everything together for a week, and then it's so quickly, and then it's over, and it's a high you can't replicate.
What are some of the things you do with Ken?
Hey guys, sorry to interrupt the podcast. As you're listening to us talk about I Am Camp, you guys have kids, okay? And you're like, man, nothing's more important than my children. This is an opportunity for you right now to text the number below. We put the number so it's super simple. You guys can text, ask any questions, figure out when's the next camp coming up, and you can be a part of it. Also, if you want to be a part of the build, right, of I Am Camp, I mean, they're putting them all around the world right now. okay? So if you want to be a part of one, you're like, dude, I love this. I stand behind this. You know, there is nothing more important than our children. Self-development is the key, you know, like kids' identities, what they plug into. You guys can be a part of this, not only with your own family, but with changing millions of other people's lives, okay? So you guys can also text how to be a part of that. Guys, I appreciate you. I love you. Kids are everything. This is a super important podcast. Let's get back to the video. Anything you need, text the number below. Let's get it.
So what's your favorite part of camp? I'll go after you.
Oh my goodness. My favorite part of camp, I think my favorite part of camp is seeing the transformation of the kids from day one to the last day. And these kids that return every year, it's so cool seeing them develop over the years. Our daughter, Aubrey, she goes every year. And year one, she was so shy. She was so timid. She was the youngest one at camp that year. And she didn't really want to talk too much. She kind of stayed in the background. And then this year was her third year at camp, and she was the runner-up for the leader award for the overall leader of the entire camp.
Huge.
And she's only 12, and these are kids that are 11 to 18, so she's on the younger end of this camp. And it's been really cool watching her come out of her shell along with these other kids that started with her. There's a couple other that also were in that with her that started, were very shy, very timid, didn't really know what to expect at first, and then every year they keep coming back and they want more, and they gain more confidence and more self-worth every single year. And it's just really, it's really an inspiring thing to watch these kids
I love
themselves.
That's awesome. I love how you said the leader award. Okay, so I'm assuming that you have a lot of activities to add to get you that leader award. What are some of the things that they do during camp to get that? Because that's not something that you normally get in a traditional school, because now they give participation awards, right? At normal schools most of the time, right? This is different. So what would a kid need to do, or what do the activities look like?
So the way we define a leader is a little different than maybe other people would see it. It's not just the person that's taking charge and the loudest. It's the person that's going to care the most. It's the person that's stepping up and including that person that maybe is a little too shy. It's the person that's taking that extra step to pick up that trash that was left there. It's the person that is really just all around. They are just consistent in the way they're showing up, and they're showing up big with light and love every single day.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah. That's our daughter, so perfect.
That's good.
So like, and this year what we did is we just changed it up. This year we had them write out, had the kids write out what they think a leader is, you know, integrity, all these things. And then at the end of it, we all got together and we got to pick our leaders. So Jesse and Julie are the ones that run it, and they went and they did their own thing. And then we thought it was a couple people, and then they just seen how our daughter turned out. So we didn't even know she was going to be runner-up until the day of, and it was pretty cool. It's just
That's huge.
heartwarming thing to see, you know, your daughter's taking in the information and doing it. So,
Well, like people will become a product of their environment, right? In a good environment, like people plugging their children in. Like, what do people do on? Because this is a summer camp, am I right?
Yes.
Currently, it's a summer camp, and it's one of those things. Like, what do your kids do during the summer? A lot of times parents are busy. They may go on one vacation during the summer or whatever. You know, they might swim, they might hang out, they play video games and watch TV, but they don't grow. And it's a different growing at this camp than it is what people get all year round at school. When you said like your daughter was like kind of shy, timid, stayed in the back, and now she's on the front line helping out. When you said picking up trash and like, you know, like, or like going out of your way to do things without anyone telling you, like, isn't that what we all want with our kids?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Like, we don't want to tell our kids what to do. We want to just know that they know it's the right thing to do.
Not to mention, just think about just that experience of that 1 week that your daughter changed from being, you know, not coming out of her shell to being an extrovert. How much is that going to affect her as a teenager and adult? I mean, it's the craziest thing that it just takes, it's just one little switch and something that you learn and how you view life, which you're obviously empowering these kids, that's going to stay with her for the rest of her life. And people don't realize that sometimes it might be a day, 2 days, a week that is going to be more impactful than just, oh, I spent a summer or I spent a week at summer camp. It's something that skills that she wouldn't have acquired anywhere else that are going to affect her in the long run, which is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and a lot of, I mean, this is no disrespect to any family, but it's the same with us. We have very high standards in our family and very high core values, but sometimes it's like our kids learn better from someone else.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's like the neighbor effect. You know what I mean? It's like me and Jackie tell the kids, you know, don't cross the road, you know, and then they run across the road. And we're like, dude, I mean, we've changed their diapers. We would die for them. We've been with them their whole life. but then the teacher on the first day of school just hypothetically says, don't cross the road, and they don't cross.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes it takes someone else. And so I Am Camp, I think, is a place where the parents have probably told their children forever, do this, do that, pick up your stuff.
Probably told your daughter to pick up the trash many times. She never did it, but you recognized her
And then
in
they
private,
learn
in
it there.
public.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they
You
do
know,
it.
the power of someone else showering into your children.
One of the things we say is leaders leave places better than they find them. So that's just like what we instill into them. Just leave it better than you found it. And then also, like, one of the cool things we do is we set goals. Like, do you set goals?
Yeah.
Do you set goals?
Yeah.
I set goals. You set. Children don't set goals. So why we help them write goals, teach them how to do it, how to write it, SMART goals, measurable, attainable, all those things. We get to start at 11 years old.
Priceless.
Yeah, where would you be if you started that
Oh
at
my God.
11? Right?
I'd be,
Exactly.
we'd be taking over the world.
Right?
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so we do that. We give them 30-day goals. Like my first year, one of my kids he wanted to shoot a basketball 10,000 times. You know what I mean? Like something, just do
Whatever they want.
Yeah,
It's a goal.
It's not they're kid
Yeah,
goals.
you don't pull the kid part away from them.
No.
You just teach them how to be a kid and how to develop, right?
Yeah. And the discipline it takes to get there too.
Yeah,
That's important.
And you know what's super cool? So me and Jackie talk a lot about total recreation, right? Like we just call it like people just like recreating their life. Like if, they just want a new life, like they can build one. People can walk into these camps, I mean, kids can, and they can literally leave with a new identity. They can leave with, a new self-worth.
We see it every single year. Every year, it is the craziest thing to see.
And you were saying that you take them off their technology
Oh yeah,
when they come out,
yeah. The kids don't know that,
and they use their mind.
Yeah.
Some know that. Some parents don't tell them ahead of time, and then it's a little bit of a fight at first. However, by the end of the first day, they don't even notice.
Yeah.
They're just being present, and they're being together, and they're
Like they're
still
supposed to be.
Yeah.
in it. Yes, and they're not as resistant as adults are either. Adults are, I feel, so much more resistant to this information and the change and the transformation. And these kids, they take this in and they really grasp it. They get it and they take it and they put it into action. And you see that firsthand. Whereas if you take adults, sometimes those adults, they push back a little more and they have more of those limiting beliefs instilled harder into their system. And these kids, 0 to 80% of your subconscious is already programmed. So if we can start getting in there earlier and changing that story that they have inside of them that maybe makes no sense because they made it up when they were like 2,
Yeah.
4, whatever, then they can change that and say, that's not me, that's not who I am, and this is who I want to be, and I'm going to believe this instead, and I'm going to change the story.
That's priceless.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, most people are living a lie.
Yeah.
And they've either told it to themselves or someone else told it to them. And by the way, this is everybody watching this. This is what adults go through.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like we've all lived this.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is that our kids are living it. And a lot of the times the parents are really busy and we don't know that they're doing this, and we find out later on. And then that's how they become depressed. Jackie was talking about like suicidal thoughts, and parents say, my kids don't go through that. Dude, you have no idea what your kids go through. You have to plug your children into things.
By the time you realize it, it might be too late. That's the problem with most people that we talk to. I mean, they're like, yeah, my kids are fine. And then all of a sudden they hit
But in the era of social media,
or they watch somebody else, or they have somebody they look up to and they mention something that's, they're depressed or something. Well, what's that? And all of a sudden they start feeling the same thing. I mean, that's the world right now. They're teaching you to be scared of everything. They're teaching you to fit in, when fitting in isn't anybody that we look up to or we look up to now. But as a kid, that's what we try. They train you to fit in your whole entire life. And what we're trying to do now as adults is stand out and think for ourselves and be motivated and positive and all these different things. When you can instill that at a young age and do what you do, I mean, shoot, you're breaking all the molds, which is beautiful.
This is how fast people can change, and you guys keep going, but I want to tell you this. When we were younger, or when me and Jackie, our kids were younger, we had a nanny. We've always run business and we've had things, so we've always had a little bit of help, right? There was this girl one time, she was kind of being a nanny to our kids, and we didn't know that she was negative. We had no idea. She was like the nicest girl ever. But when we were gone and she was with our children, she was negative. And she had a lot of like views of how the world should be. And we started coming home and hearing things out of our children's mouth. And we're like, what? Where did you get that from? What are you talking about?
Because she would tell us, but she would tell the kids.
We realized that she was telling the kids this. And we're like, dude, what the hell?
But it's almost like our kids were like feeling sorry for her. Like they started feeling like feeling
Yes.
sorry was a part of life. And I'm like, that's not it.
She was a victim, right? She played the victim mentality. Everything was, oh, woe is me. And we have savage kids, and all of a sudden they're playing this. I'm sorry, like they're feeling sorry for themselves, and so me and Jackie like stopped it quick, and as quick as it took them to turn the kids into being like a victim mindset for a minute, me and Jackie getting back involved, flip them back around.
Yeah.
And then we realized that, dude, who our kids are around, who they plug into.
Product of your environment.
Yeah. And honestly, like, I mean, I love everybody here, but me and Jackie, sometimes we need help.
Yeah.
Like we need help. And I think a lot of parents, they don't want to raise their hand and say, I need help with my kids.
Right.
I'm not saying you're not a good parent. I'm saying you need help to let your kids understand values and standards and setting goals and self-development.
And really,
dude, standing up for themselves. Holy cow.
there's so many things that go on.
Sometimes they become numb to us as their parents.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like a lot of parents that don't know this stuff. How many people don't set goals or eat healthy or drink water? You know what I mean? Like, we need to help adults. If we can just start at 8.
Yeah,
11.
talk about what you were talking about, like with self-love, like with yourself, because you guys do a lot of stuff for moms too, right?
Yeah.
And you're building, there's dads with their sons, there's moms with their daughters. But Jackie, she preaches on what you talked about. And I think it's huge that your children will do what they see their parents doing. And,
She was talking about more of like the mommy guilt stuff, right? That moms,
moms don't take care of themselves a lot of the time. I see this so many times with moms that I know, and I see them go into this cycle of where they feel that guilt and they're like, I can't go to the gym for an hour because then I'm leaving my kids and now I'm a bad mom. They don't take care of themselves. They become the caretaker for everyone around them, and they take care of everything before they take care of themselves.
Hey guys, sorry to interrupt the podcast. As you're listening to us talk about I Am Camp, you guys have kids, okay? And you're like, man, nothing's more important than my children. This is an opportunity for you right now to text the number below. We put the number, so it's super simple. You guys can text, ask any questions, figure out when's the next camp coming up, and you can be a part of it. Also, if you want to be a part of the build, right, of I Am Camp, I mean, they're putting them all around the world right now. Okay. So if you want to be a part of one, you're like, dude, I love this. I stand behind this. There is nothing more important than our children. Self-development is the key, like kids' identities, what they plug into. You guys can be a part of this, not only with your own family, but with changing millions of other people's lives. Okay. So you guys can also text how to be a part of that. Guys, I appreciate you. I love you. Kids are everything. This is a super important podcast. Let's get back to the video. Anything you need, text the number below. Let's get it.
And they're not realizing that they're emptying their cup and then they have nothing left to give. And that's when they become short fused and they start, they are just drained.
Yeah.
And when you realize when something switches in you and you really truly grasp the concept that you are setting the standard for your children and they're emulating everything you're doing and you're setting the standard for what they think a normal, healthy lifestyle is, then something will change in your mind and you'll say, I need to go to the gym. I need to work out, take care of my body, drink more water, eat healthier foods, and show them that this is how.
It's an example.
There, we have to go first.
Right.
You have to go first.
To make the path for our children.
Yeah, and a lot of moms, we don't realize, you're talking about pouring from an empty cup. When you're showing your kids that tired side of you because you're serving, sometimes as moms, we confuse the serving and doing stuff for our kids is like the best thing for them because that's what moms need to do. But they're not looking up to you. They're just being like, I love my mom. She takes care of me. But they don't want to be anything like you. They don't want to live that life. They see you as tired all the time. They don't see you motivated or happy because you have an empty cup, like you said. So it's like you want to be that example to your children, and that's exactly what you're talking about changing. If you can have that energy going to the gym, putting yourself first and all of that, your children will want to be like you, not just have you as like, hey, mom.
How can moms be involved with that if somebody's watching this?
So we are starting a mom podcast where we are going to be talking about various different topics that maybe moms didn't know about. And we're creating a goal setting book that is catered more towards, it's definitely a more feminine book right now.
And they text that number and then.
You can absolutely text that number and get that information about our goal setting journal that we've created and about the podcast that we're putting on to talk about different alternatives in motherhood and things maybe you wouldn't know about. Because some of the things I didn't know about, I was like, I'm starting this podcast and people are like, have you thought about talking about chiropractic care with infants or in pregnancy? And I'm like, No, I've never heard of that.
Mhm.
Personally, I would have never thought to do that.
Well, that's a wonderful way to tie in. If you have your kids going to this camp and you want to instill that at home and you want to make sure that they believe in themselves, then as a parent, you have to be that too. So it's like tying all of that together.
You can't ask your kids to become something you're not.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like human excellence. But I've learned that a lot of wives have waited for their husbands to change and become better people, and then they come out to our events, and what happens is they go back home, and literally what their wife has been saying forever, I told you to do this, and then they come out and they go back home and they're that. It's just they needed to hear the message maybe differently. It's not even that. Sometimes my wife has told me something 100 times, and then I hear it from someone else, and I'm like, babe, and she's like, dude, I've been telling you that like 10,000 times, and I don't know, like maybe it was at the right time, maybe I was,
You guys are so smart.
but maybe I was told it differently, right?
Yeah.
And so like as parents, we tell our kids this thing every day,
Yeah.
but sometimes they just need, because everybody delivers information differently.
Yeah. You talk about it. I seen your video. You're talking
Yeah.
about the 100% all the time. You're just missing that 1%. Like for us, that 1% is the kids. Like we want to make sure they don't get missed out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a better future for me and you is if we not fix, but we heal the children. It's
Yeah.
better for us if the
Pouring
children.
Yeah. I had a preacher guy. He was here with me, and he was telling me about how many people's lives that he changed, and that's like so cool. But then he said one day his son said, "Well, why didn't you ever change my life?" Like a lot of people, like especially my channel, they're business people, entrepreneurs, CEOs, salespeople, and the deal is that they're all going for their big life to change their bloodline, to break generational curses. They're working hard, they're giving everything. But sadly, it's not on purpose. The family ends up paying because it takes so much work. I mean, if you want to have a great life, what do you got to pay? Full retail plus addendum. Dreams come with the price. If you don't pay the price, you don't get the dream. You don't get to build this. Building this thing is hard. Building this thing was hard. Building everything is hard. And normally the children, because they're so patient with us, and technology babysits our children while we build our dreams. And so they go off, they watch TV, and then who knows what the hell they're saying. And then, with social media, I mean, anybody gives their kid a phone, it starts here. I don't care what kind of blockers you put on it, they can find a way over here. And so it's like, we need a place, this is a once a year camp, guys. Super cool.
Yeah.
That for a week straight, and I believe everybody that has children that's watching this, if they're from 11 to 18 years old, you guys need to text this number right now and find out information on the camp. Most importantly,
Right.
I mean, get to know them. That's super important. When you see where their hearts are, when you see what their curriculum is, when you see what they're teaching your children, I mean, it's life-changing. And when your kids come back home, they're totally different. And then at the end of the day, nothing's more important than our kids, but we can make sure that, because you guys you teach self-development, kids can understand what their parents are going through.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's what we were circling back. Like you said earlier, we're like, kids don't want to be their parents. They just look at their parents and they're tired. But we do a really cool exercise with them where we have them envision their parents at 2 and taking their first steps, or 1, take their first steps, their first words. What is their first day of school like? Like kids don't do that, and then they miss their parents. You know what I mean? They give them some leeway. Like my daughter done that 4 times, so she doesn't look at me as just a dad. She also sees me as a human,
Right.
which is important. I make mistakes all the time.
Yeah.
When it gets to they turn into teenagers and they go through all of these different things and they're confused, who are they going to run to? If they don't see that they can relate to you, or you've been a teenager before, they're going to go find the information from somebody else. So if they can get at your same level and you go through those exercises, those first steps and all that, and then go on to being a teenager, women, changes in the body, all these different things, they're either going to be scared or they're going to know, and they're going to come to you, and they're not going to be like searching online or asking their friends, what to expect. I mean, that's when it gets scary. So it's good that you guys do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's just super important to be, we heal ourselves as well at camp. We heal our inner child.
Yeah.
It's super therapeutic for the staff at camp.
Right.
And then we're in turn able to heal these kids, and we can see our reflection in these kids. We get partnered up with kids that are in our group where, camp leaders, they get kids in their group, and you just see that reflection, and you're like, I completely understand what this kid is going through. I went through the same thing.
Right.
And then the kid's able to relate to you and open up and feel more comfortable.
Right. Exactly.
you can heal the next generation. They did studies where they said that your DNA holds trauma for up to 7 generations. So if we start healing us and then we heal our children,
Damn.
what's it going to look like a few generations from now? What will the world look like if everyone starts healing themselves and the children and their grandchildren, and that just continues on? What's the world going to look like?
It's only 7 generations away.
Yeah.
Seven
And
generations. They better be freaking stallions. Lions better be free.
yeah.
We better get our
Well, and
stuff
plus,
together.
and plus, to be honest with you, like, you know, our kids, they're like, I mean, we're parents, you know, to them, but they're like our best friends too.
Yeah.
And, you know,
We talk
sometimes,
to them like adults.
yeah, we talk to them like adults, but we really, we have a team here in our company that is all like-minded. And so our children, everywhere they're at, they're being bounced off by other kids and parents that are all like-minded. And I don't know of any other place. Everybody comes here and they're like, oh my God, your company's so amazing, because everybody is surrounded in this thing. So our kids are immersed in it. But when you go outside of this company, there's not, it's like a camp 24/7 here at our company. And you guys having this, like everybody watching this, no one has that. No one can put their kids somewhere and then know that they're going to come home 20 times better than they were when they left them. You know, bring out the inner genius inside of these kids, right?
Yeah.
You know, kids are artists, right? And if they're not around a place for them to let that artist side out, let them, you know, raise their values, let them be pushed, let them be a little bit uncomfortable. A lot of parents say, oh, I don't want my kids to be away for a week. Listen, you want your kids to have the opportunity to stretch and grow. That's what makes it awesome the whole next year that you guys are together. You know what I mean? Anyways, it's just, it's super cool what you guys are doing. I believe everybody around the world all agrees their children are the most important thing, and they just don't know where to put them to let them grow. And then also, I think that parents, they want to self-develop, but they're not thinking about, man, where should my kids self-develop? You don't want to wait until they're older. Remember, right now they're growing, they're developing, and especially 11 to 18. You know, that's a pretty important time where they're thinking about how they view the world and how the world views them.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And even at that, some of the parents out there don't self-develop, or they don't have the information. We have the information because we went to workshops and we went through all of this personal development, and we paid a lot of money to do it. And that information isn't always just out there. People don't just know that information. So if you don't know, then you're not going to be able to help your children.
Yeah, and you know what I love is that in order to get really like to learn something, you got to immerse in it. If we wanted to learn another language, we would go to another country for, you know, a month or two. I mean, all my kids, Jackie speaks Spanish, all our kids speak Spanish. And when we go to Mexico, you know, for a week, if we go for a day and come out, it's different. If we go for a week and everybody only speaks Spanish, well, then they come home and they're really good with their Spanish.
With the locals, let them order their food, let them do all that. But
Be a
it
part
is
of the
true.
culture, you know?
You're talking about like your DNA, and talk about how you're molded at a young age to start thinking differently. That's, I mean, it is proven. A language, I mean, the younger you are immersed in a different
more you can
language,
learn it.
the more you're going to learn it, the less accent you're going to have, you know, all these different things. So if you can retrain their mind and basically recreate their DNA, because we're carrying all this other baggage from all of the people in our family and everything. If you can work with these kids at a young age, I mean, they have a really good chance in life.
Yeah, all the things that all the parents have been that are watching this have been saying to your kids, all the things. When they come to this I Am camp, they get an opportunity to see that everything their parents said was right. That's all we want. That's all we want as parents. We want them to go somewhere and someone else can affirm that this is the way to live. This is how to troubleshoot a problem. This is how to set a goal. This is how to become a leader. You know, this is how to go home and, you know, be a contributor to the household.
And appreciate
Right.
your parents for working
Man,
hard.
dude,
That's a
appreciating your
huge thing.
parents is huge. Sometimes kids don't know how hard their parents work.
No.
You know, like you said, like your daughter, you said when she looks at you, like she doesn't see you just as dad, she also sees you as a human being. She understands now when you're sacrificing. She understands what late nights mean.
Yeah.
You know, she understands like what decision making, you
Yeah.
know, like looks like.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, one of the things I talk about a lot is we try to, as parents and as working parents, we try to give our kids a life we didn't have. When we went through a lot of heartache, we went through a lot of pain, we went through a lot of different things, and our kids don't experience and they don't really see that. So they, you know, turn into, you know, ungrateful.
Yeah, they could be
you know,
entitled.
entitled kids. And the thing is that if you don't really understand that, and if you don't go, level, if you're not level with your children and don't explain to them, you're just working hard and trying to give them everything that you think they need to be a normal kid and happy kid. I mean, it might be something that's not good for them in the long run. In fact, we know it's not good for them in the long run. So going to these places and seeing you teach them how to appreciate, what they have, and how to think bigger, and how to, let go of those self-limiting beliefs. All these different things tie into what you're trying to teach. I mean, I know as a parent, I know that that's exactly what I want my kids to learn. So it's like partnering up. It's a perfect partnership between the
Yeah, and you
parents.
cut their leashes, right?
Yeah.
Like leashes are like, I can't do that.
Yep.
And I think this is the place to cut all their leashes.
Right.
So there's two things that everybody can do. Are you guys big on social media right now? Is there a place that people can find you on social media if they want to DM you or message you, or is it best just to text?
We have an I Am Camp Facebook. It's, we have an I Am Camp Facebook. We're getting Instagram and YouTube and all that stuff getting going. But
Yeah,
probably,
so texting is
texting
easiest.
right now.
Guys, so there's two things. I want everybody right now. And by the way, I appreciate you guys. This podcast is cool. This is a place right now, or this is a decision that you guys can make. Like, man, you know what? Obviously some are still going, so people can enroll your kids right now, number one. Number two, you can set it up where like every year this is something that they do. But the best place to start, okay, me and Jacqueline, anytime we have a resource, and nothing's more important than our children, we want to share it with you. Okay, we always say rich people are resourceful, poor people aren't. What does that mean? That just means people who like are on a mission for something, they find someone, a relationship, something, a resource somewhere to help them get to where they want to go. And every one of us right now, maybe you didn't know that this was the video that you needed to watch, but your children, you've been thinking like, man, how can I get them off their games? How can I get them to help out more in the house? How can I get them to be nicer to each other, their brothers or sisters among us? How can I get them to care more at school? How can I get them to be a little bit more innovative? How can I get them to kill that entitledness? How can I, like whatever, like a million things blanketed in one. How can you do it? Well, it's simple. I Am Camp will handle it. And there's two things that you can do to be a part of it. Number one, if you have children and they're between 11 and 18, text the number below, and then you guys can get information on all the camps coming up and rock and roll. This is going to be life-changing for you. It's priceless. Okay. And that way you don't have any regret, like as you're raising your kids, like, man, I should have spent more time in them. Look, we self-develop ourselves. We spend money on our businesses. Okay. Like, let's think about our kids for a minute. This is the most important thing ever. Okay, if we're ever going to do anything with anything, it's going to be right now. So you guys text the number you see on the screen, and they'll get you information. And they're awesome, and you guys can go from there and rock and roll and welcome the change in your whole bloodline. Your kids are everything. And then number two, maybe you want to be a part of this. You're like, dude, I want to find out some more information, and like I want to figure out how I can grow with these guys. Simple, and just text and say, hey, I want to know about how I can help. That's it. They're amazing people, guys. This is something that's about to go really big. It's awesome. It's already changing a lot of lives. So not only can it change your children's lives, but also you can be a part of the growth. And then anything you guys want to say to finish this out?
Anything?
Something on your heart? Somebody watching this and they're thinking, you know what, maybe I'll wait till next summer.
Yeah, that would be called a missed opportunity. Like, we might not be around next summer. You know what I mean? Like, it's who knows with everything going on in the world. Like, next summer, just if you can do it this summer, well, next summer.
If
you can do it now, do it now.
It looks like an excuse,
Yeah,
like everything. Your children are not worth an excuse.
Yeah, like seriously, next year we'll take this into consideration. And then another year passes, and another year passes, and another year passes. The next thing you know, your kids are gone.
Or your kids are listening to somebody else and you've lost your opportunity, which is even worse.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, like, the one thing that I love about I Am Camp is, like, we do this little small exercise. They create new I am statements. I'm like, that I am enough. I am lovable. I am powerful. All those things. Like, that's my favorite takeaway from this is, like, we help them create a new identity.
Recreation, baby.
I think people, they underestimate the power of that. And I think that they just, I don't know, man. Maybe parents stop being innovative at some point, and then they forget how resilient kids are and how fast they can change.
Oh my gosh.
So resilient.
1 week.
Yeah, they're so
quickly.
Yeah.
And they did that study on a bunch of kindergartners, and 98% of them qualified as a genius. They followed that same group. Only, I think it was 2%
by the time they got out of high school.
Yeah. It reminds me of our daughter's story with Kiki and Kira, how we told her that we recreated her. from being the scared kid that didn't like getting on elevators, that was afraid of everything, that cried about everything. Every time she stubbed her toe, she'd run and Andy would get her a toy type of thing. Nobody wanted to be like her.
Yeah, I ruined her on accident.
Ruined her. No,
I did.
Yeah, sure.
But Jackie,
I got a hold of her, but like most parents don't know how to do this, but like this is how fast a kid is moldable. Her name is Kira, but everybody called her Kiki. Everybody called her Kiki, 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 Kiki. She's the only kid, and our kids don't have nicknames. She had her nickname. Her name's Kiki. But she was a kid that was afraid of everything. She would cry. She's the youngest. She got babied a lot. And one day I just told her, hey, listen, Kiki is dead. She's dead. And she's like looking at me. I'm like, your name's not Kiki. You're Kira. Kira is a beautiful girl. She is strong. She's powerful. Everybody wants to be around her. She is amazing. She's a leader. Like, she has a lot of fun. But Kiki, she's dead. Like, nobody wants to be like Kiki. Kiki's a crybaby, like all these different things. And I told her this, and I'm like, listen, anytime anybody calls you Kiki, they owe you $1. Is one thing that I'm like, that I don't know if that was necessary, but she's like, listen, and if anybody calls you Kiki, they owe $1. But anytime you act like Kiki, you got to remember that you're going to be like this girl that nobody likes. And I had to be like that. And she was like, that day, she stood up and she said, I'm strong. Every time she was scared and pushed the elevator or whatever, she was like, I'm strong. And she recreated. I mean, this is just an example how kids,
right in front of her
it is so fast that they can change. And all it takes is one little thing for them to be like, hey, you know what? I'm powerful. Since that day, no one has ever called her Kiki. And she
for the
hates
first week
Kiki.
afterwards, somebody like, Kiki, she's like, you owe me $1.
Yeah, it only happened like 3 times. Everybody learned really fast.
You owe her $1 because that's Kira.
Yeah.
And literally, like, it was like out of the blue,
Nobody called her Kiki.
she became Kira.
She didn't make a lot. Everybody
She
learned
made
really
a couple
fast.
bucks, but everybody saw like this crybaby scared kid, and dude, and I don't know where the hell it came from, but it just came somewhere, just a story, like you said, that was created. And she probably told herself that story, but Jackie and by the way, like, me and her ran for like 2 years dealing with like, how do we fix her? How do we do this?
Yeah, we can't.
I wish there was a camp that we could have plugged, into. So somebody's watching this, maybe you're like, man, there's some things that I would love to, have my kids learn that I've been trying to preach, but I need someone else to give the message. And plus they get to go have a good time. They miss their parents.
They won't tell your kids that the nickname is dead, by the way. That's a little extreme.
Well,
but they do.
But the point is that the recreation process,
the encouraging part, the believing in yourself, the knowing that, hey, you're powerful, painting that picture of them that maybe parents don't exactly know how to do. That's the thing. That's the beautiful part that you guys can do. But
so you guys can change their bloodlines. So
they're sponges. They take in everything.
Everything.
That's right.
So great.
They don't get enough credit for everything they know and take in.
Yeah, kids are resilient. And so if you're watching this, if you're like, man, you know what? This is awesome. I want to plug my kids into self-development just like I do. Okay, cool. Here's your chance. Guys, text the number below. They'll get you the information. You guys are amazing. I just want to say, like, seriously, you guys are an awesome couple. And we wanted to share them with you guys. Okay, so now they're your family, and you guys can text the number. You guys can see how you can get your kids involved. And also, if you want to be a part of it, you guys just message. So now you know how to get a hold of them. Our kids are everything. Let's change our bloodlines. Maybe this is a video that you need to send to someone you know.
Yep.
Okay, somebody that you're thinking about. You're like, dude, you guys need to watch this. This is perfect. And we love you guys. We appreciate you. We'll see you in the next video, guys. Thank you so much. Hey guys, looks like you made it to the end of the video. You're the true 0.0001%ers. Look, I know 1%ers that can make it halfway through the video, but making it all the way through, you guys are the best. Now, here's what I'd like to do. Number one, I want to get closer to you. The fact that you made it all the way through the video, you're like, man, dude, I want to roll with this guy. Okay, so I need to connect with you. Down below, there's a description box on this YouTube video. There's a link. It says Coach with Me one-on-one, okay? If you'll go and you'll enter your information, I'll reach out to you in the next 24 hours. You can tell me what you need help with, what your goals are, and we will crush it together. I would love to help you guys go to the next level in life. You can tell I'm changing my life really fast, and I know that you guys want the same thing. I'd love to go with you on that journey. So right now, if you'd like to partner with me, team with me, if you want me to help coach you and push you, everybody needs a coach, a higher level of accountability to go to the next level. Go to the description box below, click on the link, fill out your information. I'll talk to you in the next 24 hours. Let's kill it.